Okay, welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about how to make it in the music industry, 10 rules, hard and fast rules. If you like this video, let me know and I can do another video on different career paths in the music industry. We're going to be focusing today singer-songwriters, original artists. Okay, rule number 1, be true to yourself and don't be a fake. Create music which you really enjoy, you have a passion for. Don't be kind of playing country and western if your real heart lies in Dixieland music, for example. You know, just do music that is you have a passion for, because ultimately we're doing this because we like to play music. It's our passion, it's an art. So money should be at the bottom of the list when you're first getting into music, because you need to master it and become good at it. And then later you can start thinking about a career in it. You really should be thinking about a style that you're passionate about and be true. Always be true to yourself, and that way 10 years down the line, if you didn't make it, if you didn't make any money, you didn't get any success, at least you're going to be happy because you've realised your passion. Number 2, you've got to be well performed. You've got to perform well. Okay, so that means that you want to get plenty of practice performing in front of people, whether it's at school, at church, whether you're performing for your mum and dad, for your neighbours, and then later you might want to be performing at parties or bar mitzvahs, I don't know, or could be anything, you know, on the street, whatever. And then obviously in restaurants and clubs and pubs and so forth. So by the time you've kind of got your album, or you're ready to really hit the road, you're going to be really well performed. You're going to have all that experience of performing. You're going to have a charisma on stage. You know, you're not going to be all nervous and shy. That's really, really important, is to get that experience. And the only way you're going to get that experience is by doing the gigs, doing the performing as much as possible, as much as you can. Okay, rule number 3, lyrics and melody. Okay, we're looking for strong hooks. You don't need to be Pavarotti as a singer, but you've got to have strong hooks. You've got to have strong melodies. And lyric content is something, again, you want to write it so that it's kind of true to yourself, true to your experiences. Because again, if you're writing something that's a derivative or a bit fake or cliche, people are going to spot that, and they're going to hold that against you. So try to keep your lyrics real about, you know, yourself, your experiences, and also, you know, try to have strong hooks. Think about hooks and melodies, and you know, you can think about Nirvana, how, you know, the amount of hooks they had on their first album. Okay, let's look at number 4. Okay, never give money out to managers, promoters, publishers, record companies, you know, agents. Don't ever give money out. If you have to give money out, that means you're never going to get money back. In my experience, they're going to con you. There was once an incident where a young band had to pay £2,000 to a manager to record them, and he recorded them, but he did it with his mate. It probably cost them £500, and then they split the £1,500 profit. So you can see there's so many scams about, especially on the internet. Don't give any money out, not for anything. As an artist, we get money back. If you are recording yourself, you're going to manage yourself, which we're going to talk about in a minute, then fair enough, you need to pay the studio bills. But ordinarily, if somebody's coming in to manage you, you know, or take your music, promote your music, do not give them a penny, because we get money. That's really important. If all musicians did that, management would be a lot better, I think, for young and up-and-coming artists. Right, okay, so network within your genre. That's rule number 5. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, for example, if you're playing folk music or country and western, you want to find all the radio stations all over the world, not just your country, but all over the world, that are playing your genre that you write in, or you compose or perform. Get your music out to those radio stations. Get your music out to those magazines, so that journalists start to write. Find out which journalists write in your genre. You know, for example, I grew up playing blues music here in Britain, so I used to know personally the journalists for example, Mojo magazine and the Observer newspaper. You know, I knew those journalists, I knew their name, and I'd send them my music, and then they would thankfully review it in their magazine. So you want to develop a kind of rapport. This is called PR, you know, and when you get famous and rich, you have people do it just for you. But when you're starting out, you can do it yourselves, you know. So the important thing about networking is, say for example, you're going to book your first tour. If nobody's ever heard of you, when you send your CD to a festival, they're going to say, well, who's this? Never heard of them. They might listen to it. Probably they won't if they haven't heard of you. But if they've read about you, say in a country music magazine or a jazz journal, then they're going to say, oh, I've read about them, they've got a good review. I saw their photo in the magazine, I'm going to check out their CD that they've sent. Then they're going to give you a gig at their festival. So that's a really, really important thing to do, is to try and network in your genre, in your field. You're going to meet managers and industry people that deal in your, deal with your genre, even PR. There's certain PR that work in world music and folk and blues and jazz, and then there's other PR that work, for example, in hip hop and so forth, because they're going to know the radio stations, they're going to know the labels, and they're going to know that genre of music and all the people connected to it. So one thing you can do, you can pull up all the radio stations of your genre, all the festivals, and start to build a database. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, number 6 is to make videos. Okay, we're talking about music videos, and you've probably been doing this already, so you probably already know this. The better quality your videos are, the more audience you're going to get, the more hits on YouTube. I can't say enough how do a professional music video, showcasing how good your band is, and that's going to, it's going to just do wonders in terms of promotion. And again, people in the industry are going to notice you, and that's going to really help you. So try to spend a bit of time and money and energy onto making a really good video of your band or your song. And if you're really, really serious about it, it's not going to be a waste. It's going to definitely help. Number 7, keep an Excel spreadsheet. Or if you use Excel or which is Microsoft Office or some other software, get a database. On that database, you can have different panels. Maybe in the first database, you can have a list of all the expenditure that you need to maybe promote a tour or an album or so forth. It's just really handy to do your finances on. So if you can get an Excel spreadsheet it helps you do that. It's a really, really useful tool. Another thing you can use an Excel spreadsheet for is contacts. So for example, you could have all the festivals on one page that you've sent a CD to, because what you can do, one trick is to send a CD and then 6 weeks later email them back and say, look, I haven't heard from you. Are you still interested in booking our band? So having that Excel spreadsheet where you've got all the festivals that you've contacted, maybe another page you've got all your radio stations and so forth. It's just a really, I've seen a lot of managers, I've been around a lot of managers and record label and PR people that's how they work, with a laptop, with a spreadsheet. Finish your album is number 8. What do I mean by finish your album? Well, it depends if you work in albums a lot, because some people work in LPs or 4 songs or whatever. But it doesn't matter what you're doing, if you're going to release 4 tracks or 1 track or 10 tracks. I'm stating the obvious here, but some people I know, they've taken 10 years to finish an album. You want to give yourself a start date and a deadline. Think about like one of my favourite bands called The Cream, Disraeli Gear's great album. Check it out. It took them 2 weeks to record. Okay, they had the help of Atlantic Records, but what I'm trying to say is, if it takes you even a year, to say, okay, album's going to take a year and it's going to take no longer. You don't want to let an album drag on forever and ever, or it's never good enough. You want to box it off, finish it, move on to the next album. So whatever you're doing, whether it's a single or what, just get it done, finish it, box it off, move on. Because like a painting, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it's your work of that time. It's representative of you, your journey through your art at that particular point in time. So that's why I stress finish whatever, finish as, don't rush it, but finish as soon as you can your album or your single or your video or whatever, so that you can move on and then you're into the next stage of promotion. And what you find is generally the artists that do get on in this business, they're really good at doing that. They're really good at finishing projects, finishing work. Number 9, a bit more complex. Look for a label that can support your music, or else do it yourself. Okay, so what does a label do? Essentially, a label does a few different things. It will bring the artwork and your music together into a package called an album, and then they will promote that album and sell it. But things have changed, because record stores, where conventionally music was sold in, has now dwindled, and most of the selling occurs, especially for smaller artists like myself, it will occur on your concert. So your concert is now the shop. That's where most of your sales are going to come from if you are a smaller artist. So really, you need to think it's only worth releasing an album if you are a smaller artist, if you are really dedicated to touring that and playing as much as possible, because that's how you will sell your album. The more you sell your album, the more gigs you're going to get, and vice versa, you know. And some bands are more of a live show nowadays than selling CDs. So, you know, some 80s bands they never used to tour, and now they're having to tour because the CDs have really dwindled, and they're making all their money from the touring. You've got to be thinking, can a label support you? Maybe they can give you an agent. Maybe they've got contacts with agents in different territories, say, you know, touring agents, so they can help you get your gigs to promote the album. Okay, it's a bit of a complex area, and we'll probably need to do one video on this whole subject. But a few hard and fast rules would be: look at the record label's roster. Are your label mates, are they famous? Have you heard of them before? You know, what has the label done for them? If everybody's small time and you've never heard of any of these artists, it might be better just to do it yourself, because then you're going to get all the money. Because obviously a label will take money for for selling your album. Every album they sell, you will make a certain percentage. It may only be a very small percentage. So you need to look at your contract, see what percentage you're going to end up. When you sell one CD, how much money are you going to get back? It might not be very much, and then you have to think, well, I can do the artwork myself, I can do the PR, or hire a PR person to do that myself, I can do all those jobs myself, and I'll make all the money. Think about it like that. So number 10, the hard and fast rule is manage yourself. You're thinking, why am I saying this? Shouldn't you look for a manager if you want to be professional? I'm saying this, no, don't wait for a manager. If you wait for a manager, you'll probably wait forever. Because you may get a manager, but they may have 10 artists on their roster or 20. That means that they only get you 3 concerts a year. So you could have a manager if you want, but I would say manage yourself, you know, because you're the best promoter of your music. You are the expert of your music. Some people even use an alias when they're signing emails off. So for example, you can pretend you're a manager and give yourself a different name, a different persona, and then when you're applying to festivals, you can use that alias. And so there's a difference between you and the artist. If you want to create that, you know, that's a trick some of my friends use. It can sometimes work. And then the festival thinks he or she is professional because they've got a manager. They must be good. So I would say really just be prepared to manage yourself in the music business, because then you can do something every day towards your career. If you're waiting for somebody else to do it, then you might be bottom of their list. They might have more successful artists that they want to work for because they earn more money off them. So think about that. Managing yourself is really the best thing.